And how it does that? It does that by controlling the flow of data and providing error checking. Okay. So thing is that, let's say, let's go again to our big diagram, and let's clean this up a bit. Okay. So let's say, okay, everything is there. Okay. So let's say this computer over here that is based out of India wants to kind of communicate with, let's say, this computer over here, which is based out of, let's say other country, for an example. Okay. So what this fourth layer will be all about is that, as you know, the layer 3 was responsible for kind of routing the packets or routing the data information from, let's say, this computer to this computer, or back and forth. But the layer 4 will be responsible that the data that is kind of getting transferred, it ensures that the data that is sent from here, let's say data 1, is actually received completely free of error to this computer, let's say data 1. So there is no error when this data goes till here. So because why it is needed, because thing is that when we transmit any data, there are chances that due to certain multiple factors, let's say for an example, the router is not kind of behaving properly, or let's say there is certain kind of electrical glitch by which a noise has been introduced in the packets, which were kind of sent from this computer to the other computer. So what will happen is that even a minor glitch in the data, so let's say, for an example, there was a huge blob of binaries, okay, that was sent from one computer to the other computer, let's say the frames over here. Okay. And even if there's a minor glitch, what will happen is that, let's say, one of the portion of the data is kind of corrupted. Okay. So what will happen is that the correct data will not be kind of going back and forth between this and this. So let's say this computer is kind of transferring its MP3 file from here to here, and if there's a glitch, the whole the MP3 file that is received by this computer will not make any sense to this computer or the person using this computer. Okay. So what this layer 4 ensures is that it does ensure a reliable connection, and how it does is that it also performs different kind of checks. Like, let's say it is able to detect that, okay, there has been an error when some information is provided from this computer to this computer. So this computer will able to check, like, if there's an error in kind of sending the data out, receiving the data that is receiving, if it is error or not. And in that case, it can ask the original computer to send the data back to them. Okay. So how it actually does that, one of the easy example is, let's say there is a blob of information. Okay. So this is the information, and what it does is, like, it calculate actually a checksum out of that. So from this information, a basic value is calculated through certain algorithms, and when this data is actually received by the other computer, what it does is, like, it actually kind of calculate again the checksum of the information that is kind of received. So in this case over here, then let's say there was no error. So the value that will be calculated by the receiving computer, the value of the checksum, will be same which was kind of sent by the computer 1. And that's where the computer 2 will kind of know that, okay, there has been no error in the data that was kind of sent out by the sender, and it will be kind of happy. Okay. But if there was, let's say, there was little bit kind of error in the information that was sent out by the sender, due to several reasons. So what will happen is that, let's say the checksum is there. Okay, that's the checksum is there. So the new computer, so the receiving computer, will again calculate the checksum based on the data that is it had got. And because there is a little bit kind of a error in the bits over here, what will happen? The checksum will be kind of different at this time. Okay, so let's say it's a C1, for example. And now because this C1 and CL1 are different, so the receiving computer will kind of send, let's say it won't either send an acknowledgement, or it will kind of somehow inform the sender computer that it has kind of received an error. And what will happen is that, since let's say what will happen in normal cases is like when it sends the data to the computer 2, it actually sends out an acknowledgement which says that, okay, the data has been received successfully. But in this case, what will happen, because there is an error, this computer won't send an acknowledgement back. And in that case, the sender computer will actually send out the data again to the receiving computer. And once the receiving computer is kind of sure that, okay, next time we receive the data and it is like there's no error over here, so it will send out an acknowledgement. So the computer 1 will know that, okay, the data that it had sent the computer 2 is kind of error free. Okay. So that's how the TCP layer works. And basically how it does that. So the TCP layer normally uses kind of a TCP and UDP protocol, which the transport layer actually uses to kind of manage the data transfer and do some kind of error checking. Okay. So devices operating at layer 4. So this is layer 3, which is network layer. So devices that kind of operates at layer 4 can be like, let's say, firewalls. We'll understand more what firewall means. But firewall, let's say for now, it's kind of a device which actually blocks certain kind of communication. It blocks or it allows certain kind of communication going forward. So those are devices that actually works at layer 4. And let's say one of the basic example again is like, let's say you are watching a video online. So the transport layer will make sure that the video is delivered to you without any error and at the right speed. Okay, so that's all about kind of a basic introduction to what transport layer means. And now let's kind of go to the layer 5, which is session layer. Okay, so what session layer is? So session layer is something which actually kind of manages the connection between application on different devices. So what it does is like it establishes, maintains, and terminates connections, ensuring that the communication sessions are kind of properly synchronized. Okay, so I hope, guys, one of the things, just I'm going to do one more check. I think everything is fine. There's no audio or video issues. My screen is kind of visible. I see there's no hand raise, so I understand there's no issues like that which had happened earlier. We're all fine. So what I was talking about is that about the session layer. Okay, so till now we have discussed a basic introduction to kind of transport layer, network layer, data link layer, and physical layer. And we'll start with again kind of basic introduction to session, presentation, and application layer. Before that, I'll kind of take it to 1 minute break. I'll just quickly grab some water and then we'll kind of continue with the further discussions. Okay. In the meantime, guys, if you have any questions, so feel free to kind of interrupt me. So just give me 1 or 2 minutes. Let's quickly come back grabbing the water.